Alrighty. We're going to go through chess, and so it's connection to the real world and how the people who see things like we don't, or that we don't, or that y'all don't, or whatever, how they see people and how they kind of explain it. Okay, so the pawn, first, the chessboard represents the world. Okay, straight movements are through the physical world, and in terms of forward. Okay, so the pawn represents the mob of people that don't really think. Okay, now in the real world, it would look like this, right? Like the protesters, the BLM, just the mob of people. You can just use them to control space. Individually, they are weak and they can't do anything. Just like in the game, pawns are strong when they have the structure and they're connected. Okay, and remember, they only move forward unless they are taking, but that's you telling them, to do that. So their natural movements are only forward, right? They don't think. Natural movements only forward. They're told what to do. Okay, everybody's told. Now the next piece, you have the knight. The knight represents basically almost what it shows, the horse, but it's more in terms of the power, physical power, right? So you've pictured the largest companies and the richest companies in the world are oil companies, which they produce oil, which makes power, right? And one of the huge powers of the, you have the Tesla trucks, and we're going to just watch two horses. This is two horses pulling a semi in the snow uphill. Okay, what car could do this? Show me one car, one 2-horsepower car that can do this. Okay, so you understand, if you can control billions of horsepowers, you can just move so much stuff. You have a control of movement that regular people don't have, and that's why the knight also, it's the only piece that jumps over, because its movement is so unique. They have to control that movement. Okay, so I think it refers to the horse, but it can also be the car and truck. But at the base, it has to be the horse, because I can breed a horse, I can't make a truck, right? That's how that works. Now the bishop, this is where we're divulging a little bit, but so the diagonal movements, I believe, are thinking. In the board, you have the straight movements, right, through which are physical, through the physical world, right? Like the pawns push people through the world, whereas the knight moves and jumps over the physical world. No diagonals with the knight; it's straights, right? Whereas the bishops, they move diagonally. Okay, and now the significance of that, I believe, is since it's mental. Notice how they have to stay on their square. Like, an idea can't change what it is. When you move through physical space, you move through physical space no matter what it is. Okay, now the bishop in the real world would, ironically, it is. Look at the people that come. Look at the control the bishop has mentally, though. There's no. You're not getting people here because of what he can do physically. He can't do physical things, right? He's just an example. He's just a tool in the repertoire of all of this. Okay, so the bishop, he can't talk to Muslims, though. He can only talk to the white squares, just like the brown squared bishop can only do the brown squared. No race. They don't care about race. I don't either. It's all control. Okay, now the rook, right? The rook is the force, the physical force piece, right? How would this it can move across the whole board, right? But it can't go diagonal. It's not really a thinker. Okay, that'd be look at this, what they can do physically, the physical things. We love them because of their physical. We follow them because of their physical. What they can do, they can jump, they can run, they just go fast, they can move the whole board. Okay, now that's a huge advantage. And like, if you've actually played chess, it's hard to get caught with the rook. You'll get caught on a diagonal. You're like, oh damn, I didn't see that diagonal, because it can cut through pieces. Whereas with the rook, you know it's coming. You got two rooks, and they're going to block two lanes, and they're just going to push you into the corner and checkmate, right? It's harder to do that with the bishops. It's harder to mentally control somebody, but it can be done, where it's much easier to physically restrain somebody. And I think this is representative in the chessboard. Okay, now this is where we get into the little more. Now, what is the most powerful piece? They'll say the most powerful piece is the queen. Now, why is I disagree. Now, but why is the queen the most powerful piece or considered? Because it can move the most spaces. It can go diagonal. It has control over the whole board. Now, how does this look like in the real world? This is where it gets a little weirder. It's not as direct, but now if you can picture the conglomeration of all of these, okay? The control over all of them, right? There's probably some guy with a stable. There's probably Joel Osteen. Now, if I came up to you and was like, hey, Bobby, because remember, these are men controlling a lot of these things. Men are the physical. They're controlling all of this stuff. And I was like, hey, Bobby, you want to do something for me? Will he do it? Okay, what about if I send her over? Be like, yo, hey, Jennifer, why don't you go ask Bobby if you can borrow his saw? I need it. She goes over there and it's like, hey, Bobby, I need that saw. I gotta cut something. And he's like, oh yeah, well, whatever. So, and that's how that works. Okay, so the queen is not the most powerful piece because the most powerful piece would be the one that controls the queen, and that would be the king. That's you. You're making all the decisions. Okay. Now you have limited. You can go in any all right, cut out there, or you can go in any direction as the king, but not a lot. So you can have a small physical change in your world or a small mental change. That's the diagonal and the straight movements as the king that you can do. But you can control or get every other piece to do what it does if you know what you're doing, if you're a good chess player, right? Bad chess players just kind of push all the pieces into the middle and end up losing. And really good chess players know how to manipulate the board and the pieces. And I think look at life. How do some people have the same things in life, have the same pieces in chess, but they're just doing so much, quote, better, Well, it's because they know how to use the pieces. And I think if you know how to use the pieces, the first thing is identifying who is what piece. Right? And don't try and think that you can ever make a pawn do what a queen does, right? No, a pawn can become a queen. I would say that, that to me that would be like birth, right? You can birth anything you want if you can control the birthing factors. That's why like abortion and what's it called is so, important because, the mob can make a star. The mob can't be a star, but the mob can make a star. The mob can make a queen. The mob can make a queen, a bishop, a rook, whatever we want. It just can't make you again, right? It's the only thing the mob can't make again is you, which again is representative in chess. So I think chess might be a little deeper than pieces, a little deeper than it's given credit for. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just overanalyzing all of this. So I don't know. That's that, I guess, yeah. Oh, one thing I wanted to get back onto, yeah. If you ever seen a pawn structure, oh, I lost the internet. Okay, but the pawn structure would be where they're usually, one is forward, one is, one would be here, one would be here, one would be here, and they're linked diagonally. Okay, so you can't get through them in a straight line. Right, like the mob, you can't just physically push your way through, but you can go through diagonally. You can get through a mob of people mentally, right? Think about that. Like a mob of people can't stop an idea. They can stop you physically, which again is representative in chess if you think the straights are physical and the diagonals are mental. All right, yeah, that's that. Okay, put it together.